I said that if we were going to start late, then I would make sure we started on time. And here we are, right at 9 o'clock, getting going. Oh, I got the wrong microphone plugged in, though. Okay, I think I switched the microphone. It should be working now. And like I said, if we're going to start late, then we'll start on time. I appreciate everybody adjusting for the time change here tonight as we get started on this week's Panther-Lair Show at 9 o'clock instead of 8:30, our normal time. Had a little bit of a scheduling conflict, had to push the start back, and it's the off week anyway. Not like we don't have plenty of things to talk about, but it is the off week, so we have a little bit of, if ever there was a week to not necessarily change up the whole schedule, but change it up at least a little bit, this would probably be it. And so here we are, getting started a little bit later. We'll still, we'll probably won't do a full hour tonight. We'll probably go about a half hour, 45 minutes, however long it is that we need to talk about everything that there is to talk about. Pitt's win at Stanford, the opener of the Pitt basketball season, recruiting stuff, all kinds of things. We'll get Jim in here to talk about. I don't think I'm going to wear a hat tonight. I wasn't really feeling comfortable. So I kind of switch up there, but we got plenty of things to talk about. So jump in the chat, put your comments and your questions. Oh man, my head looks all messed up from having a hat on. Now I think I have to put the hat back on. Oh, well, it's hard. Maybe I should wear a backward hat like Jim, because Jim often shows up with his backward hat on, and, maybe I should put my hat on backwards too. Let's see if Jim has his hat on backward tonight. Hat on backward tonight. Look at that, folks. All right. Spoiler alert. I had a little preview window there and I could see that your hat was on backward, but you do often wear a hat backward. Do you wear a hat backward more often than you wear it forward, Jim?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
I go both.
Okay.
Mix it up.
I feel like on the live streams, you often wear it backward. Maybe you don't want to have a bad shadow on your face or something like that. But anyway, Jim, I appreciate you also accommodating us here on a change to a later start time. We had a flag football practice tonight. Normally we practice at 6 o'clock on Wednesdays, but after the time change, 6 o'clock, it's really dark. So they had to move everybody onto the field with lights, which means we all had to go at different times. Anyway, we had our practice tonight. We have our big playoff tournament on Saturday. So we had to get our final plays in and get that all set. Not very exciting. I'm trying to run a few like fakes and things like that. Maybe some wheel routes, get a little Des Reed action out there. I don't know if it's going to work. It'll probably get picked off, but kids will have fun. Speaking of Des Reed, how about Pat Narduzzi calling Jakari Turner Des Reed 2.0? Was that in the post game or was that when you talked to Narduzzi on Monday?
I think that was in the post game.
Okay. What do you make of that? I mean, like, it's Narduzzi after a game. He says a lot of random things, but I mean, Jakari Turner just had the first 100-yard game by a Pitt running back against Power 4 competition since the Cal game last year and looked really, really good doing it. What do you I think we've been high on Jakari Turner for a while, Jim, but I mean, are you buying Des Reed 2.0?
I think Jakari Turner is one of the more unsung heroes of this entire team. Just like his level of play the past 5 weeks, I think it has coincided with the winning streak as much as Mason Heinschel, just because like Desmond Reed was so important to what this offense is supposed to be, and not having him, they haven't missed a beat. Like he's been just as good, and he's putting up big plays. I think Saturday he had 4 plays over 25 yards, something like that. I mean, he's just a playmaker, and he kind of just fits right in. So thinking back in August, if we thought Des Reed was going to miss any kind of time, we would have thought something was seriously wrong with the season. So the fact that Pitt's been able to maintain and, continue to win games is just really a testament to him.
Well, that was, we talked about it in August. Did either somebody asked or you and I came up with the question of what player could Pitt afford to lose the least, or what player could Pitt least afford to lose? And that was your call, was Des Reed. You were like, obviously Kyle Lewis and things like this, but the depth at running back being such an uncertainty, you picked Reed. And I mean, I don't want to say that they haven't missed a beat. I mean, Reed is obviously, he was awesome at Florida State. I mean, he has as much to do with winning that game as anybody, Mason Heinschel included. Although it was Jakari Turner who recovered a fumble when Heinschel fumbled, which was a bit of a game-saving play. So even there, he was coming through with big plays. So, I mean, I don't want to say they there's no fall off or anything like that, but he's been really good this year. And I have every reason to think he'll be even better like next year. I guess when you look at him, I mean, does he have a higher, like, how does his ceiling, you think, compare to Reed? Because they seem to have a pretty similar skill set, right? They can catch passes, they're fast, they can get outside. Reed is probably a little faster, you think? Or do you think Turner's faster?
I would think Reed seems to have more of that like explosive, like can take a 2-yard gain into like a 50-yard gain, probably more than most people in the country. I think that's why he was a preseason All-American. But like, I wouldn't be surprised if Turner gets there. I mean, he could still he doesn't need a lot of space. I mean, he's so small he can kind of hide behind blockers, and all of a sudden he's turning it upfield. So I think that's one thing he's really good at. So Reed's probably a more accomplished receiver, but that might just be more with opportunity. I think Turner could probably get there again if he's the man next year, and it looks like he's going to be, and it looks like he's going to be for a while. So I think that was just a good pull for Pitt. I mean, he was a no name from a small town in Florida. It's not like he was even at one of the big Florida high schools. I never even heard of the school he went to, and like they found him, and he's good.
Yeah. He's got 518 all-purpose yards, I think, right now, something like that. Where's the number? 518. He's fourth on the team. The last Pitt freshman to have 500 all-purpose yards. Can you name him?
Jordan Addison.
No. Kenny Johnson actually had 500 and some, like 502 or something in 2023, because he had like the kickoff return and everything like that. The last Pitt freshman to have 600 all-purpose yards was Jordan Addison. He had like 700. I'm not putting that out of reach for Turner. Are you? Like getting another 200 yards over the next 3 games plus the postseason?
And I think that's the thing, because I think he could coexist with Desmond Reed. I think you could do things with both of them. Like going back to that Florida State game, like, yeah, Reed had 200 yards, but Turner had 2 touchdowns. Like he made his impact as well. So like there's going to be opportunities for him to get the ball, and it's probably going to be closer to an even split than like anyone could have ever imagined. I mean, like, I think he's that good. I think you want him on the field, and he could do things, and like he could do impressive things for a freshman. Like he had a couple like blitz pickups the other day. It's like, whoa, like this, like this 5'10" freshman could like step up and like stonewall like a linebacker coming at Mason Heinschel. So like he's a good player.
Yeah, he is. George Mitchell says, guys, are we really comparing Desmond or Jakari Turner to Desmond Reed? Shaking my head once coaches are scheming to stop Turner, then we can maybe talk about it. But until then, please stop. See, I don't really get that line of thinking. Like, first of all, like, this game, Desmond Reed was a game time decision. So I have to assume they were game planning to stop a small, fast, pass catching running back. Right. And like, it's not like Turner has, did nothing prior to the Stanford game. So I think if you were the Stanford defensive coaches, you were probably like, okay, whether it's Reed or Turner, it's going to be a small, fast, pass-catching running back out there that they're going to throw the ball to, and we need to prepare for that. So I don't really – because I think George actually made this comment on either my post-game show or one of the morning pits or something that like, teams scheming to stop Turner or scheming to stop Reed. I don't know if you really – plan for that, those guys all that differently, because they're used in such similar ways, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think if you're game planning to stop Pitt, you're just assuming a guy like that's going to be on the field and he's going to be a factor in both facets. But like the thing, George, is Pat Narduzzi's the one that made this comparison. Like he's the one that introduced this into into everyone's mind. I mean, if the head coach is calling Jakari Turner Des Reed 2.0, then that's how much they think of him in that building. So like, they feel like they can still run their offense and do everything with him on the field. So I think he's a good player. Like I don't think that, and it's not a slight to Desmond Reed. I think it's just like more of a compliment to Jakari Turner.
And Robert Hutchison says Reed and Turner need to have equal touches, not because they're equally talented, but to save Reed from injury. The interesting thing about both of these guys, because of their explosive ability and their home run hitting ability, like I think. They talk about some running backs, you got, they got to get into a rhythm and they have to get going. And I think about like an Izzy Abanikanda or James Conner needed to kind of build momentum. Like these guys, because they can take any play to the house, because they can make these big gains. I think you can mix and match them. And I'm not as worried about these guys getting out of rhythm or getting into rhythm. You know what I mean? Or like, oh, he was starting to run well. You're breaking it up. You know, like I think Rodney Hammond needed that. I think Abanikanda needed that, or Connor needed that. But these guys, you know, it's like a receiver. Like, you know, whenever you give them a touch, there's a chance that they can make a big play. I don't think they need that sort of consistent. So you could mix and match with these guys within a series or drive to drive or however you want to do it. I think it's a little different because of their skill set, if that makes sense.
No, I agree with that too. And like, I don't know. I mean, I just think like going forward, like there's no downside to like giving Turner a lot of touches, like just because like what do you get from like running Des Reed into the ground like 25 plays in a row? Like I think you like why not just mix and match them? Like they both can give you something, keep them both fresh, and like it's going to be a grueling couple games here. I mean, I think you're playing probably like the three most talented teams on the schedule, but also like physically talented. Like Notre Dame's defensive line is going to look like close to an NFL defensive line. Like they have dudes. So like you need both of them to get through this game.
Yeah, no doubt. And then what do you like? And I want to get to some other, you know, there's some comments and questions here I want to get to, but like Joelle's Goff, he's a good player. He's a good running back, but he just doesn't have a role here. And I don't know. I'm torn. It's one of these situations where like, well, I think this guy's good. I think he can make plays, but I don't think he can make the plays that Turner and Reed can make. But he can make plays that are useful. But I also understand why they're not getting him as much work as they're getting for the other guys. I don't know. Like, would you make more of an effort? You know, if it's, you know, offensive coordinator Jim Hammett, are you making more of an effort to get Joelle's Goff like some kind of role or some kind of involvement? Because he feels to me like that back who does need sort of consistent carries to get into a rhythm and kind of get rolling.
Yeah, and I think part of it on Saturday against Stanford is I think he did get banged up a little bit. Like I think he had to come out of the game. I think he had 2 carries near the goal line and we didn't see him again. And I think even Justin Cook got into the game for a little bit. So
yeah.
Pat Narduzzi had said that on Monday when he was asked about Justin Cook. So I think, yeah, like I think there's a role for Joelle's Goff. And like I always like I go back to the NC State game, like the series Des Reed got hurt, whenever they were just running the ball into the middle of the line, I was like, those look like good Joelle's Goff carries, like, because those are the type of things he needs to do. If he, like you said, if he gets 1 or 2 carries, gets a little contact, and maybe that third time he bounces off the contact and gets the big run. So like, I think he is that kind of player. So if I'm trying to like drain clock, like in the third, fourth quarter, you know, maybe a couple years ago, whenever Rodney Hammond did that for them a few times as a true freshman, I think that's what Joelle's Goff can be.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like I even saw Cook earlier in the game though. Like there was a play where it might have been the first fumble or something like that, where like there was a running back on the field. I'm like, who the heck is that? So I think they got him some snaps earlier, but that's a little weird. I don't know what's going to come out of that, but you know, except for depth, maybe down the road. There is a super chatter here. Kevin Duva says it's the 10-year anniversary of ham coming in Gold Lot 1 for Pitt Notre Dame. Stop by the tailgate. There's a rum ham. Keep up the great content. Is this one of your people, Jim? Kevin Duva? No?
I don't.
Isn't there somebody, Kevin, who comments here who is your boy?
Yeah, I just don't.
But that's not Kevin. So you don't know anything about the rum ham?
No, I mean, I think it's just like the Always Sunny reference here.
I don't know that. I never actually got into that show. So that's an Always Sunny reference, rum ham?
Yeah, like they ended up they ran out of booze, but there was like a ham soaked in rum, and like they got drunk off eating the ham. So
okay. Yeah.
So I yeah.
Rum ham.
Okay. So
all right.
Just have a piece of ham whenever you walk through the parking lot.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I can't get drunk before the game. I mean, like
how drunk can you get off of ham?
I don't know. I didn't watch the show. So recruiting questions. A couple of people have asked some versions of this. Brock will take his question because he asked it first. Who should Pitt be more concerned with? Losing Logan Nagel, who's visiting Miami this weekend, or Marcus Jennings, who just got offered by Michigan? Any chance Pitt can still hold on to both? I think there's always a chance they could hold on to both. I think, our guy, Alan True, who covers Midwest recruiting for 24/7, said, Marcus Jennings is a really loyal guy. He should, he's expected to stick with Pitt, but Michigan's obviously a big offer and one that's enticing. Logan Nagel taking a visit. You never like it when your commits take visits to other schools. So that's something to keep an eye on. What do you think, Jim? What do you think about Nagel and Jennings, potentially looking at other places?
Yeah, I mean, just with Jennings alone, it's kind of like deja vu. Just like with last year with Elijah Dotson, he was a really good commit. It was kind of like one of those. It's like, how did Pitt go into the middle of Detroit and just get a really, really good player and nobody from the Big Ten noticed? Well, eventually they do notice, and Marcus Jennings being probably the best defensive player on the best team in the state of Michigan's eventually gonna make it to the University of Michigan's office. So I don't know. We'll see. He's been very loyal to Pitt. I think he was one of their early commitments. I think every game this year he wears Pitt gloves and Pitt wristbands and does the shark every time he makes a play. So he's really bought in. I think he really likes Ryan Manilak. I think Pitt has that Cass Tech connection with Archie Collins a little bit. So I think Pitt has a lot of things working in their favor, but you almost have to believe. You almost have to see it to believe it. If Pitt can really withstand a push from Michigan.
Yeah. Any thoughts on Nagel?
That one's harder to project because there's not that hometown factor. It's not it's not like Michigan. So it's different. So we'll see what comes of that. I don't know. I mean, I think he's a good player. He's a good fit, but if Miami's going to make a push, I think that one might be I don't know. If you're making the effort to fly to Florida, I think there's some genuine interest there.
Yeah. Yeah, it might be. He was a huge get for them too. You remember they were not at the top of his list, and they kind of really swung that one, Pat Narduzzi and Tim Doust in particular. There are a bunch of people asking about stuff like that. But Pitt fan H2P wants to know who remembers him saying that Pitt will be battling for the ACC title after the West Virginia loss. I don't remember that. Do you?
I don't, but
a lot of people say a lot of things.
I'll take your word for it.
Sure. Yeah. And if that's accurate, then shout out to you. I do remember, and this is one of my self-quoting moments. Many times I've remembered and recalled saying after the Louisville game, this is a good football team. There are good players on this team. There's a potential to be a good team, but obviously some things weren't working, and they fixed that thing that wasn't working, and they've won 5 in a row since then. So maybe I was just a week or two behind you, Pitt fan H2P. Swin Boyd says, quarterback Chris Peak, he was referring to the fact that we had flag football practice this evening. It was 5th and 6th graders. I am coaching them. I'm not playing for them. So perhaps my athletic apparel here has led you to believe that I was actually practicing flag football, but I do not participate in an adult flag football league. But Marlon Barnes Truther wanted to know if Cade Bell was drawing up plays for us. No. Although I had this brief thought, Jim, of we have a number of plays that we run out of the same formations and just call the first play. And then if we get any kind of pickup, run tempo. Yeah. And maybe even run the same play, or just have another play in that formation. Okay, tempo, go, which actually, I don't want to get sidetracked because I've actually found out that on podcasts, I hate when people talk about things other than what the topic of I listen to a lot of fantasy football podcasts, and they're talking about candy corn. I can't skip those conversations fast enough because I'm bro, I just want to know if I should start Deebo Samuel this week. I don't care about your opinions on candy corn. You know what I mean? But last year when we were in the playoffs, we won our first game, got to the second game, and this team we were playing was just a loaded squad, and they killed us. And they were complaining to the ref that I was taking too long to call my plays, as if they thought I was strategically trying to slow them down and kill clock. When in reality, I just want to make sure my kids are running the right routes. So there's a chance we'll face that team again if we win our first game. And if we do, maybe I'll use the tempo offense then and be see, how do you like it now? But it'll just be the fastest 4-and-out in flag football history. Joey Dealey wants to know, when I watch the game, it seems like Sean Lee Jr. is better than Rashad Battle and Tamon Lynham. Why does he not get more playing time over them? What do you think? What do you think, Jim?
I think he should play a lot.
Yeah.
I think he's really good, and
Yeah.
I think Pat Narduzzi was asked a little bit about that on Monday, just because like every week you see it's like the highest graded cornerback in the country is Sean Lee. Like he had a pick six. Like he never allows any yards. Like he is actually really good. And like the other guys are fine. I wouldn't say like Battle and Lynham are having bad seasons. Like I think that like they can win football games with those guys. I think they can win football games with Shadarian Harrison. But like I think I look at Sean Lee and like that guy's going to be an all conference player at some point in his career. Like I think you just need to just kind of the same way with Turner and Heinzel, just like turn him loose.
Yep. For reference, in the Stanford game, Shadarian Harrison led all the corners with 45 snaps played. And Sean Lee Jr. was second with 41. Lynham played 40, and then Battle got hurt, so he only played 15 snaps. Maybe it's a different story if Battle stays healthy, but yeah, Sean Lee Jr. has been great. I think according to Pro Football Focus, he has been targeted 25 times this season. He's given up 10 catches, which is pretty good, 40% reception rate. He's allowed 28 yards on those 10 catches, which 28 yards on 10 receptions is pretty impressive. 28 yards on 25 targets is like you are not even getting 2 yards per target when you throw at Sean Lee Jr. So he's been outstanding. And I think if that's your starters next year of Sean Lee Jr. and Shadarian Harrison, and you know what occurred to me too, Jim, is I was like writing about the red shirts this week is Rashawn Murray's only played 3 games, and he played his first 3 years at Cal PA. So conceivably, as long as he doesn't play more than one of these final 3 regular season games, he could come back next year. And your rotation could be Harrison, Sean Lee Jr., and Rashawn Murray, plus whoever else, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know, Nigel Maynard or somebody, Zion Ferguson or somebody like that. But like, if that's your top 3, like, I feel pretty good about that, wouldn't you?
Yeah. I think that's a good place to start. And I think you look kind of like all over that defense. And it's like you could really easily talk yourself into a 2 deep depth chart before you even go to the transfer portal. Like just with the retention alone, like they have a lot of like underclassmen on that defense.
Yeah. Yeah. At the very least, like a, starting 11. I think you have some question marks like outside linebacker, and some of the depth. But I mean, wait, so. All right, let's do this thought exercise real quick then. So a defensive end, you could have Jaden Moore and
Jimmy Scott, Zach Crothers,
Isaiah Neal.
like you're off to a good start there.
Actually, yeah, you could go 2 deep with those guys if Neal stays at defensive end. Defensive tackle, you've obviously, Fitzsimmons has 1 more year. Francis Brew, Jasir Whittington. That's, really good. Let's assume Biles and Lewis. Yeah, and Nick James. Let's assume Rasheem Biles and Kyle Lewis leave. I would assume Braylon Lovelace is coming back. And then you've got Cam Lindsey. Actually, you can move Lovelace to the outside and have Jeremiah Marcelin as your middle linebacker with Cam Lindsey and Lovelace next to him. Harrison and Sean Lee Jr. at corner. Cruz Brookins and Josh Carrier at safety. Like, it's really good.
Yeah, it's a good just like you don't even have to go to the portal and you have a decent defense like built kind of already.
Yeah. And they haven't gone to the portal. I was going to say they haven't gone to the portal that much in the back 7, but I mean, Donovan McMillan, MJ Devonshire, Tamon Lynham. It's kind of it, right? I mean, I guess, Jaden Bonsu came in this year at linebacker.
Kavir
Baines Marquez. Yeah. So they've gone there a decent amount, I guess. Piffan H2P says over under 60,000 at the Notre Dame game. Jim, is Stanford's stadium as nice as people are saying? It did look beautiful. Jim, you didn't go to Stanford.
No, I was not there this weekend, but like I mentioned last week, I have been there.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Okay. He's not asking you about going this week.
Well,
sorry.
maybe he is. I don't know, but it's nice. Like it's cool. Like it's a different vibe. Northern California is kind of different because like you go to California, you just think it's just always going to be warm. It's sunny California, but like it kind of gets cold up there. So I noticed all the guys were cramping the other day, but even Pat Narduzzi said he's like, it really wasn't that hot. It was just sunny, but it is a nice setting. And I would say over on 60,000.
Yeah. Yeah. They'll announce a sellout, and I think they'll probably be, if they're not at 68.5 or whatever it is, they'll be close enough. I want to there was something else along those lines. So I said on the morning pit this morning that I like noon kickoffs, and there was a debate about it, and in the comments of people saying what's best for Pitt and this kind of thing. And ZC717 said, we all don't need to feel bad about the noon kickoff with Notre Dame next Saturday. Game day is in Lubbock this week for Texas Tech and BYU. That game also kicks off at noon on Saturday. And actually, that game is going to kick off at 11 locally, right? Because it's noon Eastern. So that's even worse. You know, like people were saying like, oh, you're not going to get that great of a crowd because it's at noon. I mean, imagine if the game was at 11. Or now sit down for this one, Jim. Imagine if you just went to the game because it's a big game, whether it's being played at noon, 3:30, 7 or 8 o'clock, whenever it is. It's a huge game. People should this should be the kind of game you rearrange your schedule to go to. You know, this isn't NC State. This isn't Duquesne. This isn't Louisville or Central Michigan. Like, this is a gigantic game. And if you have other, people often say like, oh, you know, it's just so tough getting to these noon games because kids have soccer and stuff. Like, this is the kind of game you skip the kids' activities for. You know what I mean? Like, you skip family outings for. You're like, no, man, we can't go to the zoo this week. The Pitt Notre Dame game. You know, right? Like, this is a huge game.
Absolutely. I mean, this is like, you know, this is what you always say about Acrisure Stadium. It's like, yeah, Pitt fans will come if it's Penn State, Notre Dame, or West Virginia. Like, this is one of them. And like, I'm expecting a good crowd. Like, I don't think it's a bad deal. And like anymore, like, you know, what do they say about TV ratings and how important they are and how it helps with your revenue sharing and all that? Like, I think sometimes if you're on ESPN or ABC, like, people just put on that channel and leave it on all day. Like, if Pitt's game is on ESPN, someone's going to turn on College Game Day at 11 and just never turn the channel. So like, people are going to watch your game. So it's a big game for, you know, Pitt, this program, this area. Notre Dame obviously draws a lot of eyeballs, but like, I think sometimes like being on the right channel is better than the right kickoff time.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Like, you don't want it to be hard to find, you know, like ABC is an easy channel to find. ESPN is an easy channel to find. I had to work to find the ACC Network Extra the other night when Pitt played Youngstown State in basketball. And that'll be the case for a bunch of these non-conference games. You want to be easy to find so people can watch you. That's what's best for Pitt and the program. Brock's super chatter says, with coaches recruiting this weekend, will the staff go see guys like Jennings and Nagel? And what newcomer impressed you on Monday against Youngstown State? Yeah, we'll see what we can find out as far as where the coaches are going this weekend. I would have to think they'll try to get in front of guys like Marcus Jennings and Logan Nagel. We'll see what we can find out. But as far as newcomers who impressed you against Youngstown State, well, Jim, you were at the game. I'll let you take that one first.
I think like the player that like stood out to me, or like I think caught a lot of people's eye, was Noyes Indricitis. I just thought he had a good floor game. You know, he stepped into his shots. Like, none of his shots felt bad. I think he had to take one at the end of a shot clock, but like everything else kind of came within the confines of the offense. Like, he wasn't forcing things. He had a couple nice assists. Like, he just kind of seemed to know where to be. So I really liked his feel, and like if he's the sixth man or if he's going to eventually move into the starting lineup, because I think that's just an ongoing debate. I think he's going to give them a lot this year. I mean, he's clearly the best. He has the best looking 3-point shot. I don't know if he's the team's best 3-point shooter yet, but like, it's not hard to imagine he'll get there.
Yeah, I think so. For sure. Noyes Indricitis. Now that's interesting. And I'll tell you why that's interesting, Jim. Let's see. Here we are. So we're on this page. So this is staff if you see, this is our staff picks, ACC, you know, our preview section. And we asked the question, who will be the biggest impact transfer? And, you know, Steve Gertz picks DeMarco Minor. Good choice, right? He's, you know, point guard and everything. Jim, looks like you picked DeMarco Minor. You know, he's a good option too, you know, to be a starting point guard. Oh, Matt Steinbrink says DeMarco Minor. That's a great call. You know, oh, Houston likes DeMarco. Oh, what's this, Jim? Oh, what's this? Oh, somebody says that Noyes Indricitis could be Pitt's top impact newcomer. Oh, how about that?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. You know, I mean, like, obviously the freshman question is different from the top impact transfer, but like, Yeah, I think there's like this confluence of like, all right, you look at the newcomers, the transfers, right? Deshaun Jackson's not even in the picture. Barry Johnny Jr. at least puts on a uniform. DeMarco Minor is the starting point guard, and he's going to facilitate and he's going to work, but like he just doesn't. I feel like his presence and his impact is going to be felt more than actually like seen in terms of being a leader. But like Noyes he's got like an energy and an aggressiveness to him, whether it's in transition or, how he shoots, even how he gets into it defensively. He's not a great defender just quite yet, but, and so I don't know if I really believe that he's going to be the top impact newcomer, but he's kind of like almost sort of emerging by default because I'm not really all that convinced about the other guys making the same level of impact. Did anything on Monday night? I forget who you picked for the leading score. I'm not going to share my screen again. Who'd you pick for the leading? Oh, you picked Brandon Cummings also for the leading score, like I did, right?
Yes.
Anything change your opinion about that on Monday night?
Not really. Like he's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. He's going to take a lot of shots. I think he took 8 shots. I think he drew 7 fouls. Like the ball is just naturally going to be in his hands a lot. And like knowing how Jeff Capel kind of lays out how he likes to play basketball, like there's going to be some lead guard taking a lot of shots and it's going to be him. So like, I think by default, out of usage, like he's going to like work his way to 14, 15 points a night.
I'm trying to think like when you think about Capel's teams, like the point guard has always been a big, not just facilitator, but like a producer, a scorer, right? Like when was the last time the point guard wasn't? So Femi Odekale in his year was the 3rd leading scorer on the team. But like it's almost always been that the point guard is like the guy or like the second, like, so like Bub Carrington, Blake Hinson was obviously the leading scorer, but I mean, I don't see DeMarco Minor being the same kind of creator and scorer that like, obviously that Bub was, or that Joe Lowe was, or Xavier Johnson, or even like Nelly Cummings. I think like this is sort of a unique feel, isn't it? Like in terms of the role that the point guard is going to play. Do you think? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think like of all the guys, he's closest to Nelly Cummings, probably in stature, probably in, coming as a mid-major, transfer. I mean, I think the big difference between Nelly Cummings and DeMarco Minor is that Nelly Cummings at least was known to be a good 3-point shooter, where Minor is not. I think he's a career like 29% guy. So that's going to be interesting. Like, because at least Nelly could take over a game. He led Pitt in scoring a couple nights. Like, I don't know if Minor's ever going to do that. Like, I don't know if there's ever going to be a night where DeMarco Minor has 22 points and leads Pitt.
Right. So I'm looking at Nelly Cummings' stats from that year. He averaged 11 points per game, 11.1. He was Pitt's 3rd leading scorer at 11.1 points per game. Do you see DeMarco Minor averaging double figures?
I don't even think he averaged double figures wherever he was at last year, Oregon State. Like, I think he averaged 9 points. So like, that's probably like what he's going to be. I think they're just kind of counting on him to have that, 5 rebounds, 5 assists, just kind of fill up the stat sheet that way. But like, I don't think they're expecting it to come in the scoring column.
Yeah. Yeah. I kind of agree. And that's weird. I mean, like it could be the first,
it is weird.
It could be the first point guard under Jeff Capel to be outside the top 3 in scoring, which, I think you and I both picked Brandon Cummings as our projected leading scorer anyway. So maybe that'll fit in with it. David H2P is a super chatter, says, could NIL convince Rasheem Biles and Kyle Lewis to stay? I think that's an interesting question. And I think we've seen a couple times in the past few years, players, not necessarily at Pitt, deciding not to go be a 6th round draft pick. And I'm not saying that's what Biles and Lewis would be, but like just generally speaking, players deciding not to be a 6th round draft pick, coming back to college and getting $200,000 or something from NIL to be a college student again, which I'm sure we've had this conversation. I always use Henry Parrish as my example, the guy who, was committed to Pitt, decommitted from Pitt, went to Ole Miss for a couple of years, transferred to Miami, transferred back to Ole Miss for his final year because like, why wouldn't you? Like Henry Parrish wasn't going to get drafted. And if he was going to get drafted in like the 7th round or something. But he could go back to Ole Miss, get $200,000 or $300,000 to be a college student for a year, which that's awesome. Like being in college is great. And if somebody gave you $100,000 to be in college for a semester, like that would be like, who wouldn't pick that? So I don't know about Lewis and Biles because I think those guys have a legit chance to play in the NFL and maybe be like decently drafted. But I do think there could be more guys who maybe make that business decision to come back because they can make a little more money and potentially enhance their stock. I think the thing with Lewis and Biles is I don't know if they would be able to improve their draft stock all that much by coming back next year. Now, maybe they look at it and they're like, well, maybe the feedback they get is that they're not going to get drafted all that high, so they might as well stay in college and get a little more money. But I don't know if those two guys have anything more to prove. Do you?
Probably not. I mean, I would say like especially Lewis, like he's not having the same statistical season as he had last year, but like he's still just as good.
Yeah.
Like he's still like I would say maybe the West Virginia game, he wasn't the greatest, but like everything else, like anytime he's been on the field, like he's doing Kyle Lewis things.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe the injury, like with Rasheed Biles, like missing a couple games and not having the big gigantic season, like maybe that might compel him to want to put better film out there. I don't know. I mean, it's interesting, but
I mean, Biles has only played 6 games. He's still their second leading tackler.
Yeah.
And leads them in tackles for loss and has 2 sacks and a 75-yard pick six and 2 pass breakups and a forced fumble. I think even if Rasheed Biles doesn't play another snap this year, I think he's got a chance to be drafted and, in a pretty lucrative position. I think he's been awesome this season. Like I think he was inconsistent last year, but this year I think he has just taken it to another level. And I think that's probably part of what is I guess getting me excited about this Notre Dame game, or at least maybe giving me some optimism about Pitt for this Notre Dame game, is like, if they can get Biles back, if they can get Brookins back, if they can get Des Reed at something north of 75% healthy back, if they can get Kenny Johnson going again, if they can get, more out of Jaden Moore than they got in the Stanford game. Who else am I? Is there any other big one that's still lurking out there?
I guess you could say it like Jeff Percy. Like they haven't.
I guess,
they haven't had their opening day left tackle in a while. So
right. I think I know it's funny because the penalties draw a lot of attention, and rightfully so. But I don't think Kendall Stanley's been bad as a left tackle. And there's a discussion about it on the message boards, and his numbers as far as pressures allowed against Power 4 teams, it's better than Percy's numbers. Now, I mean, what is Pro Football Focus? It's how they evaluate it and everything. But either way, even just bringing back those guys I mentioned, Biles and Brookins and Reed and Johnson and Moore, and if Blaine Spires could come back at some point, if they could be something close to full strength, this game could get really interesting, because we haven't seen, just looking at the defensive side, we haven't seen Pitt's defense at full strength since, if you want to include Jaden Moore, ever. Yeah. And if you don't want to include Jaden Moore, you would say we haven't seen Pitt's defense at full strength since the Louisville game or something, or maybe NC State. So it's kind of exciting to think about what they could be if they could actually just all be playing out there at the same time. Because I'm pretty sure they could be really good. Now it's going to be the toughest challenge they've faced yet with Notre Dame's offensive line, and I'm sure their tight end is going to have 170 yards, or not 170, but 130 yards and probably 2 touchdowns. But I don't know. I think this defense could be really good if they actually get everybody back, and Biles included, because I think he's a game changer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's what you want to see. You want to see Kyle Lewis and Rasheed Biles, your 2 best against their best. I mean, they have one of the best running backs in the country. You want to see those collisions, but with all the injuries this year, they've developed other useful players in this. So if they are at full strength, they're at full strength with numbers, with reinforcements. Kavir Baines-Marquez was not who he is right now back in September. You developed another good player over time. Cam Lindsey's playing really good football right now.
Yeah.
He's at the point where I mean, obviously he's a step below those guys, but like if you go into next season with a Cam Lindsey, like you're feeling pretty good. Like that guy's going to be a good football player, and it's because he's gotten these reps the past 3 weeks. So like, yeah, like you want to see this because of all the guys coming back, but like they've held it together without him. Like, and that's kind of the crazy thing. And like now you have a lot of guys.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, it's not like the Turner Reed situation, like Jakari Turner and Desmond Reed, where we're talking about, well, Desmond Reed 2.0 or anything like that. I mean, like Kyle Lewis and Rasheem Biles are legitimately awesome. Cruz Brookins was maybe their best overall player. I feel like it was like Brookins or Biles was like the best player on the team for a decent stretch early this season. And to put those guys back on the field and then be able to rotate Baines Marquez in, to be able to rotate Cam Lindsey in, yeah, it's just it could be fun to watch. It could be a lot of fun to watch. Gary Lindefeld says the Locked On ACC guys were going off on their podcast today about how the ACC got screwed in the playoff rankings, especially Miami and Georgia Tech. What is your opinion on the initial rankings? You feel like those teams got screwed, Jim?
I don't know. I mean, like I think overall, like I'm somewhat surprised pleasantly that like the ACC got 5 teams in there initially. Like,
yeah.
I mean, I think they're all deserving. Like, I think if you look at everyone else, like comparatively, like, yeah, the ACC should have 5 teams, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So, yeah, maybe a little screwed, but I don't know. Like, the first one doesn't matter that much.
Yeah. I mean, like Georgia Tech, they don't have a win against a team that's ranked, right? Like, so, and they have a loss. Most recently, they have a loss at NC State, an unranked team that's now 5-4. It was a team that was 500 when they went to face them. So you're still in the top 20. I don't really like, I get like, oh, it's disappointing because they're 8-1, but like they don't have anything on their resume, and Miami, like, I know Miami's got like this whole thing. Wow, Miami beat Notre Dame, and why are they 10 spots lower? Well, they're 10 spots lower because they lost to, they just lost to one unranked team. Their other loss is to a ranked team, but it was at home. And that Notre Dame game was like a long time ago. And that's their one good win. It's their only good win. They're 1-1 against ranked, teams that are ranked in this first college football playoff. So, are they a little low at 18? Maybe, but they're also 6-2. And like you lose some of your righteous, self-righteous indignity, or what's the phrase, indignation. You lose some of your indignation when you lose 2 games. Like, don't lose at SMU. Don't lose to Louisville. Yeah. And keep yourself in the top 10 where everybody expected you to be, and you played like you were. Like, oh, Miami got screwed. Really? Because I feel like they threw like 4 interceptions in a game. So maybe don't do that, and you won't have to complain. What did you think about Pitt checking in at 24, Jim? Were you surprised?
Yeah, I wasn't really counting on it just because of like the AP and coaches poll, but I guess this is just a good like illustration to show you like sometimes they have biases or like whatever they're working on, like they're slowly creeping Pitt into the equation. Like they're for whatever reason, just because they weren't in the initial top 25, they have to earn the honor of the voters to finally get ranked. Whereas this poll, it's just like, okay, let's just pick the 25 best teams to this point. Like we don't have to like start at a preseason ranking. Like we're just starting right now. So yeah.
And I think they very much reflected. I think it very much reflected the committee looking at Pitt and saying, you are a different team in the last 5 games than you were in the first 4 games, which, mad credit to the committee for doing that. I think they also very much, and this is like something I hit on a lot today on the Morning Pit. I'm going to write about it in the 321 column on Friday. I feel like the committee was very much saying, and this is my own imagination, but I feel like the committee was saying, okay, Pitt, these last 5 games, you've been really good. And we think you're a different team in the last 5 games than you were in the first 4. And we're going to put you at number 24, even though you have 2 losses and you don't have any signature wins. And, one of your 2 losses was to a 3-6 team. But we're going to put you in number 24 because we think you are actually pretty good. And you've got these 3 games here to kind of prove it. And if you go out and take care of business, well, we might just mess around and put you in the top 12. Like, I think the committee kind of gave them a path to get in the top 12. Like they're almost sort of saying like, we think you actually are really good. And now if you can prove us right about this, we're going to like make some jumps, So I think like if anything, Pitt coming in at 24 in this first ranking gave me more confidence that they could potentially make it as an at-large if they actually do win out. Because there's a lot of conversation like, well, if they win out, can they get in the ACC championship game? Well, there's a lot of circumstances that have to happen there. But I would say if they win out, and I don't know if they will or not, but if they did, I would almost feel like more confident that they get in as an at-large than that they get into the ACC championship game. Like it feels just because so many things have to happen for them to make the title game. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know. The fact that they're in this ranking, if they were not ranked this week, I'd be like, yeah, they're probably not going to be able to become an at-large team, even if they win out. But the committee putting them in, I think, is a show of kind of belief on the part of the committee to say, like, yeah, we think you might be pretty good based on what you've done in the last 5 games. Because their resume doesn't scream top 25 team. They have no good wins. Like this 5-game winning streak, only one team has a winning record, and it's NC State, who's 5-4. So like you don't have the resume of a top 25 team, but it's like they believe that it might be there, and they're going to find out in these 3 games. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and like there's obviously going to be a lot of cannibalization like among the first 23 teams. Like there's going to be teams that lose a lot like in the next month. Like there's going to be room to move up, and you go back to like 2021 where they cracked the rankings at 25 right away, I think it was. It's like that was still a 14 playoff. Like that was just like, oh, like yeah, you're one of the 25 best teams. Like 24 to 12 is not that big of a jump. Like 25 to 4, that was a huge jump. They were never going to make that. But like 24 to 12, there's a path. And if again, if you win all 3, I think that path is there.
Yeah. I'm looking around just kind of, I mean, we're scoreboard watching now, right? So Washington is number 23. They're at Wisconsin on Saturday. Wisconsin's 2-6. So if the Badgers could pull that off, that's going to, because it is the other thing too. Pitt was in the initial college football playoff ranking last year too, and they fell out after 1 week. They're not going to fall out after 1 week this year. I'm fairly confident that there's nothing that could happen that could cause them to fall out when they don't even play a game. So you look at where it could potentially move up. Well, Washington's at Wisconsin. Wisconsin's unranked. Iowa is hosting Oregon. Does Iowa drop 5 spots if they lose to a top 10 team? Ditto for Missouri. Missouri's 22. They're hosting A&M, who's number 3. So there are a couple games in the top 25, 20, 22, and 23 where, 20 and 22, I think are probably projected to lose. 23 would be a pretty heavy favorite, I would think. Washington is minus 11.5 at Wisconsin, but there's an opportunity there. Maybe Pitt could climb up 1 or 2. Actually, Northwestern, USC is 19. They're favored by 14.5 playing Northwestern on Friday night. So maybe Northwestern can go across the country and pull off an upset. But either way, it's fun to have scoreboard watching, kind of see what's going on there. Jim, I said this was only going to be like 30 or 45 minutes, and here we are closing in on an hour. Let's see. Scrolling through here. Mark Shillaju says, with conferences getting so big, it seems likely that more teams will lose out on championship games due to tiebreakers. Do you foresee a time when conferences go to semifinal games to avoid this? No. I don't think they're going to be adding more games outside of the playoff structure, the college football playoff structure. What's going to be interesting to me, and I think this is part of this is somewhat tied to this. I'm curious to see what happens, how the committee treats conference championship games when there are teams in the conference title game that are ranked in the top 12 prior to the conference title game. So if you end up in a situation where you've got a team, say, ranked 18th, and they're taking on a team ranked 10th, and the 18th ranked team wins the conference championship game, does the committee drop the number 10 team out? I think there would be a lot of pressure to not drop them out of the top 12, because I don't think conferences want their teams to be penalized for playing in the conference title game. You know what I'm saying? Because those conference championship games make a boatload of money. So they don't want to give up that cash cow, and they don't want to disincentivize those games, you know? So I don't know. That's one thing that's interesting to me of how the committee would treat that going forward. But I don't know, like, because then, like, the flip side of that is if the committee is like, oh, if you're in the top 12 before the conference championship game, nothing could happen in that game that would knock you out. Do teams then turn around and, like, rest guys? You know, if you have somebody who's 50% or 75%, but you're not going to get knocked out of the playoffs, because conferences wouldn't want that either, because, again, the aforementioned cash cow. So I don't know, like, do you think there's I don't know, potential conflict there?
I guess a little bit, like, just because, yeah, like, these conferences like want to incentivize like these schools getting to the championship game. It's supposed to mean something. So yeah, you're going to get to a point where there might be a situation one year where someone might tries to game the system somehow and, you know, approaches it that way. But like in terms of like tiebreakers, like it's almost crazy to think, but like these leagues should go back to divisions. Like
yeah,
like they should, like there shouldn't be so many variables, because I think we were all like our Pitt media group chat, like we're all trying to like figure out the tiebreakers because nobody can understand them. But like you hate that a season's going to come down to that. Like, because what if Pitt does win out? What if they do go 10-2 and they don't make it? Like that's a possibility. So like that kind of stinks. Like, you know, like you got to figure out something. And like I think going to divisions would at least cut the tiebreakers in half, right?
Well, yeah, and like I was just about to say, like, well, fat lot of good that would do, because the teams all at the top are Virginia, Duke, Miami, Pitt, like all these coastal teams. So that wouldn't, but it would change because they would all play each other. And that's the biggest thing you're running into right now. Like Pitt doesn't play Virginia, Pitt doesn't play Duke, Pitt doesn't play SMU. You know, like you have all these teams that are vying for the same spots, for these two spots, and they have similar records because they don't play each other. Like you're not going to end up with two undefeated coastal teams if there's a division, because they'll all face off and somebody has to like lose those games. So that's, you know, you avoid having to deal with the tiebreakers if you just make everybody play each other. When you've got 17 teams and an 8-game schedule, there's way too many opportunities for the tiebreakers there for a team to go 7-1 and not make the conference championship game. If you go 7-1 in the division format, well, unless somebody goes 8-0, which I think really didn't happen very often in the coastal, at least. I want to say like maybe Carolina in 2015 went 8-0. And that was like one of the few times I think a coastal team went 8-0, because it was the most beautiful conference division in college football history over the course of its existence. Yeah. And I mean, like, it was beautiful. Like the coastal division worked exactly the way it was supposed to work. Right? Like until Pitt in 2021, nobody repeated, nobody won the division twice. Everybody got, you know, like up, you know, 2019 was the year Virginia did it. And like and I remember it was so amazing. Virginia was the last team, the one team that hadn't won the coastal yet. And then they won in 2019. And it was like so magical that it broke the universe, that there had to be a pandemic that caused them to not have divisions in 2020, because it like they needed a reset. You couldn't just go back in the next year, have some team finally be a 2-time coastal winner. They had to have a year with no divisions whatsoever before they got back to 2021. And then Pitt became the first team to actually win it twice. Yes, the answer is to go back to the coastal division. You're right, Jim. Absolutely.
Yeah.
I don't know if the power brokers want to do it though.
You know what? Like I was thinking of like all the places like I'm used to traveling to for these away games. Like I'm not going to like Durham or Chapel Hill this year, like for the first time ever. Like I like going to Virginia Tech. Like that's not happening.
Pitt's not playing Virginia Tech. Like that was one of the only appeals of being in this godforsaken conference, is that Pitt played Virginia Tech every year. You know what I mean? Like it was a good like rivalry. You know what I'm saying? Like that was a quality back and forth, and they went back and forth on games. They had memorable games. It was good. It was good, and they've destroyed it. Wait, there was something else. Oh, and the other thing too is like When you think about, oh, why did they do away with divisions? And it was because all the babies on the Atlantic, basically it was Florida State crying. They're like, well, it's just not fair. You have the two best teams in the conference, and they can't get in because they're both in the same division. Well, listen, jerks, if you go back to 2013, there's only been like 1 year where the best conference records were both in the Atlantic division. Like almost every other year, if you put everybody into one giant division, you would have had the coastal winner and the Atlantic winner. Like it still would have like worked out. So like, quit your complaining, go beat Clemson, and now they have nothing to complain about because Clemson stinks this year, but Florida State stinks worse. So really the team that has the biggest beef is like Louisville. If Louisville gets shut out, they're going to be the ones that are like, damn, dude, if we had the Atlantic, we could have won that thing and we'd be in the ACC championship game. But because you losers took away the divisions, now it's going to be Virginia and Duke or something like that. Right now, Jim, at 9:56 p.m. on November 5th, what two teams are playing in the ACC championship game this year?
Oh, I haven't really dug into
No, I know that's the point. Name two teams.
I'll just name Georgia Tech and Virginia.
Okay. Sure. Why not?
I don't know. I haven't checked the percentages. I don't know if that's one of the likely ones or not.
It's I don't know if it's I don't know if it's a likely outcome, but it's true that it is an outcome. It's an outcome. Yeah. Let's see if there's anything else. Hendy's as we were talking about Pitt's defense next year and all those guys coming back. Hendy says, you guys have me excited for next year. I'm thinking Natty. I mean, right. Yeah. I mean, we're not going to even go down that path. I mean, yeah, it's going to be great. Let's see. Yeah. ZC717, as we were talking about kickoff times, I remember Pitt in Cincinnati in 2009 was for the Big East title. That was also a noon kickoff. The stadium was sold out. Jim, I forget. Were you at that game? Did you tell me you went to that one?
Yeah, I was there.
That was awesome. That was an awesome college football. It snowed during the game. And I always say I often say that the 3:30 game, I love the vibes of a 3:30 game because by the time you get deep into the second half, the lights are on, it's dark out, it's exciting and electric. That game at Cincinnati was one of those ones that because of how it was snowing, it was dark enough to turn the lights on. So it was 12:30 in the afternoon, but the lights were on. That's such a cool vibe when it's the middle of the day and it's still light out, but they put the lights on. I love that. I love that so much. And the snow was great. That was a great vibe. That was a great, exciting game. I mean, obviously it went really poorly for Pitt, but it was a lot of fun to watch. Let's see if there's anything else to say. John Jingleheimer Schmidt says, can we get a prediction for how many of the final 3 games Pitt wins? I don't know. I mean, if you have a prediction on this, Jim, you can give it. My question is, what's more likely to happen, 3-0 or 0-3?
I don't know. I don't think they're going to lose all 3. So I'll say 3-0.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I think it's unlikely that they'll go 3-0, but I think it's even less likely that they'll go 0-3. Let's see. I don't know. It's almost 10 o'clock anyway. We went much longer. I was going to be done with this. I was we're going to talk for a half hour and get the hell out of here. But,
it never works that way.
It could have. But, when the team is number 24 and they're 7-2 and it's an off week and everything's exciting and I've got to take my victory lap, brief as it may be, about Noia Syndrositis. I mean, you got to go for these things. You got to take the shot. Take it when it's there. But all right, let's wrap it up. Thanks to everybody who chimed in tonight in the chat. It was a lot of fun. Obviously, we won't have a pregame show this weekend because there's no game, but we will have the live stream again next Wednesday night at our regular time, 8:30, and then we'll have a postgame show later in the day on Saturday, November, whatever day that is. What is that? The 8th? No, the 15th, right? 15th. Notre Dame game.
Yes.
Notre Dame. After that game, we will have a postgame show. Lots of morning pits between now and then and tons of coverage on Panther-Lair.com. So make sure you guys like this video and subscribe to youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com so you don't miss any of our Pit video content. And I think that's about it. Jim, do you have anything else to tell the people?
No.
Okay, great. Jim, thanks for your time. Thanks everybody for tuning in and have a good rest of your night. We'll talk to you tomorrow on the morning pit here on youtube.com/Panther-Lair.com.